I absolutely love this bike. Hello, bike farmers. Thanks for clicking in. We've got a very green machine today. This is a Trek 7500. Now these were a really nice hybrid from back in its day. These are really some of the best hybrids Trek ever made, I think. This is a 7500, which means it comes with like LX level components, Shimano hubs. It's just a really nice bike. I see a lot of this sort of thing around here. A lot of people, when they get hooked up with their neighbors' friends and family discount at Trek, they end up buying more bike than they really need. So I do see a lot of really nice higher end hybrids around here. I don't think this is a Waterloo bike, but it's still a really nice aluminum frame. These have great geometry. They ride super nice. Adjustable stem, upright handlebars, a little bit of a suspension fork here, a really nice comfort saddle. It's gonna need new tires. It's got a little bit of surface rust on things, but I think it's gonna clean up great. This should be a nice, easy, basic tune-up. I really don't expect this bike to fight back too hard. So this should be a good one. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm not sure. This one does say made in the USA right here on it, so maybe it is a Waterloo bike. Oh, I forgot to shift it into the high gear. Not the end of the world. But per the usual, we're gonna pop these wheels off and set them aside before we get going on the rest of the bike. You know, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and take all these bolts out and clean them right out of the gate. Sometimes I use my electric screwdriver for this, but these look like they're gonna come out pretty clean, and it's almost easier just to use this little L-shaped Allen key. I like to take the accessories off the bikes too. I'm refurbishing this one to be sold. This isn't a customer tune-up bike. Although I pretty much do the same thing with my tune-ups. You know, the tune-up service as I do with my refurbishing. I just kind of really have a holistic approach to the bike. I try to fix everything that needs it. I try to be thorough, but I don't go above and beyond too often. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense. You know, I don't go digging around into hubs or bottom brackets or headsets unless they're really loose or really grungy. Leaving well enough alone is just fine most of the time. I always lube cables. I always wipe frames down. I always touch up the wheels in the truing stand. Okay, so there we have our bolts. We'll go over to the grinder and polish these up. I have a special pliers just for grab and hold of screws. It's called a screw pliers, and it just grabs right onto them. So you know, one of my favorite tricks is just to grab the rear derailleur, pull it like that, and that loosens the rear derailleur cable up enough that you can get all the housing out of its happy homes. And that gives you access to the cable inside the housing. And you can hit it with some tri-flow. Loose, you can get up here too. Yeah, these cables are really dry. It's been a minute since this had any attention. So you can do the same with the front derailleur. You just pull it out, and that creates enough slack in the cable to get it loose. Nice little shortcut. You don't have to disconnect the cables, and then if your cable tension was right, which it often is, you know, you don't have to readjust anything. It saves you a ton of time. You know, anybody who's out there disconnecting every cable to lube it, you know, you're just doing more work than you need to, really. Because just this little bit is gonna make this bike shift way more better, hey. And I'm doing the rear brake cable now, which is extraordinarily dry. So it's gonna really like that. It was thirsty. And the front one, you know, you can usually get about an inch or so out of this, and you just let gravity pull it down. This one doesn't feel too bad. There's not a whole lot of grimy corrosion in there. This bike was stored in a dry place. It wasn't out in a garden shed or anything like that, so it's in pretty good shape overall. Okay, so now that you have everything loose, you have a great access to the frame for polishing and cleaning. This bike is, as mentioned, very clean. This thing did a lot of sitting, not a lot of riding. So just kind of spray everything with furniture polish and wipe it down. Hey bike farmers, I just wanted to take this lull in the action to let you know how much I appreciate that you've clicked in to watch this video. Now that I've been at it a little bit, I'm starting to learn why everybody's always asking for more. The AdSense money is just barely enough to make it worth starting a channel. If I want to sustain this for the long term, I'm gonna need everyone's help. Now don't get me wrong, your attention is enough. Don't feel obligated to give more, but I've tried to make it as easy as possible. You can always click the super thanks, that's the heart with the $ in the middle of it, or consider a monthly membership. The monthly membership will give you a little star next to your name, and if you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments. I'll see the star, and when I see it, I'll definitely give you an answer. You'll also have access to a little more behind the scenes action that non-members can't see. With all that said, thank you so much, and let's get back to some bikes. Okay, so now we get to put this all back together. And that can be tricky to figure out where these all went back in their homes, so you don't cross the streams. That's a Ghostbuster reference for those of you thinking I was talking about something else. Sword fights. Come on now. So all the housing back and it stops. All right. You can see how shiny it got. Isn't that, it's just a really nice candy apple green. This bike's in such good shape. If it wasn't so clean, I'd almost convert this one over to Q's, modernize it a bit. But everything's so clean, and I know these shifters have such a good feel, just really good. This bike's gonna work so well. I think I'm gonna leave it just because this is a really good one. All right, so we got the screws here, a little bit of grease on the threads, get them all started back in there. Oh, dropped a screw, but it didn't fall on the floor, but it counts. And again, sometimes I get out the electric screwdriver for these things, but it's almost easier to use the Allen key in some instances. It just looks so much better if you clean the screws up. Tighten them down. And then put a drop of Tri-Flow in the bolt heads, and that keeps them from rusting in the future. I like to drop some lube right down into the pivots here. Kind of work things back and forth, up and down, all around. And then usually put some back here on the springs. Slicker than snot on a doorknob. With the front brake, if you angle the bike down, you can kind of let gravity suck things in from the backside. Just jiggle it a little bit. It's a song, isn't it? Okay, over here on Woody Charleston, we're gonna replace these tires. These are really crunchy. And yeah, probably replace that spoke protector too. You know, when they get yellow, they get brittle. So, you know how I like to replace the spoke protectors. And go broke with those spoke protectors. But I think they're important. I think a lot of you are starting to join the dark side on the spoke protector, starting to accept it a little more at least. I'm not getting as many comments, you know, especially when they're yellow like that. It's like people have a good point. They're pretty ugly when they're yellow. And I'm replacing these tires with a little bit wider tire. I mean, these say they're 38s that I'm pulling off and I'm putting 38s on, but I think the 38s that I'm putting on are gonna actually measure wider. And they're all black, so they're gonna look a little wider. I think overall it's gonna give the bike a better look. A little bit different ride feel too. But I'm putting on these giant PX2s. Nice general purpose, all-arounder, moderately puncture resistant, good hybrid tire. Nothing too roady, nothing too aggressive. It's just enough tread to give people the confidence they need out on the Glacial Drumlin bicycle trail, then the crushed limestone. Kind of get an idea what I'm doing here. I got a little bit of shape in this tube. And I reuse tubes. I mean, we could put in new tubes and I don't know. I don't think that there's any harm reusing tubes as long as they're holding air. They're holding air, right? Okay, once you get the tube in there and are relatively confident things aren't pinched. Oh, yeah, well, so I don't know if you can see, the tube is just kind of not smushed up in the tire at the valve. I don't know how else to phrase that. So I gotta push the valve up in there, and now you can see the bead will hit the hook and it won't pinch the tube. So, you know, you just wanna look out for that sort of thing. And then sneak up on it, especially with these new tires that are kind of all out of shape because they've been in packaging and smushed. Like, you just don't want your tube blown off the rim. It's pretty easy to do. So with, you know, 20 pounds of pressure in there or so, I don't know, what's that, 1 or 2 bar? Just so it's got shape, you can kind of go around and massage it. Just sneak up on it. You know, I'm pretty relatively confident that things are good. And there you have it. That's a good tire for this bike. Really happy with that. So, go ahead and do the same thing to the front. Here you can see the difference in the tires. Hey bike farmers, a quick note. If you're looking to get serious about fixing bikes at home, look no further than the Park Tool AK5 toolkit. I have an affiliate link in the description. This kit provides all the basic tools you'll need to tune up just about any of the bikes that you see on this channel. It also comes with the Big Blue Book of Bicycle Repair written by Calvin over at Park Tool. Also in the description are affiliate links for all the basic things that I use. The grease, the degreaser, the one step, the Dawn Power Wash, Behold. If you see anything else that I don't already have a link for, let me know in the comments so I can add it. I hope these affiliate links will help encourage you to take this on as a hobby or even start flipping bikes for a living like I do. All right. I think I'll refrain from giving you the spoke protector rant about why I think that's so important on these bikes, but Basically, it's because I think most people don't know when their derailleur hanger's bent. It's going to force an overshift, and this will save them from having to actually repair the wheel when all the spokes get ripped off. And even put a new one on it really makes things look pretty clean and fresh and new anyway. So I think that has a good aesthetic quality. I think it's just a shame that they got a bad reputation out there as being dork discs. You know, I've been a dork my whole life. Nothing wrong with being a dork. You know, we deserve our discs too. All right, so we've got the wheel in the stand, and this it's mostly just dusty, but it's kind of caked on there. So I'm going with the Dawn Power Wash. You'll see me use that a lot on these bikes. And this is a somewhat dirty, somewhat clean rag. It's a mid-filth wiping tool. I kind of do one of these numbers with my finger and get back in the hub and scrub it. You know, and I really caked it on the rim too. And you can just clean the whole rim, sidewalls and all. It does kind of invite some brake squealing, but it burns off usually pretty quick, and I'm really going for the aesthetics. Nobody wants to buy a dirty bike, you know? So cleaning really helps. And this bike is just filthy from sitting. You know, you get it cleaned up, it's better than new. Better than brand new. I get to say that a lot, and I say it with relative confidence. These bikes worked great when they were new, once they get past their break-in period. And honestly, you know, this one has never really been broken in from riding, it doesn't look like. But going through and cleaning out and reviving all of the lube on this bike, I think makes it better than brand new. The factory lubrication that comes on most bicycles is good enough to get started, but usually takes a couple tune-ups before everything gets really settled into itself. Man, that's a straight rim. That is really straight. There's just that one little spot. I almost hate to touch it. I mean, I made it negligibly better. And we're gonna do the exact same treatment to the front wheel here. Another thing this bike's got is these stupid toe clips, and I rode with toe clips for years, so I'm used to them, but most people aren't. I still, you know, it's toe clips and cyclocomputers have really, you know, kind of become a relic of the past. And there's still people that are into them for whatever reason, you know, it's just what they're used to, and they don't feel like learning anything new, but there's just not a whole lot of advantage to toe clips. I think it's another thing that just kind of came out of the racing world and made its way into mainstream cycling, but I think for most casual use, it's really just kind of extra. So I just take them off, and actually I throw them away. You know what, thinking this through, I have some cheap flat pedals that I like. I'm just gonna replace the pedals. These are kind of one-sided pedals. They're just not gonna be comfortable. Just kind of make the executive decision. And these are some nice big nylon platform pedals. Yeah, that's way more better, hey? All right, with that out of the way, we can put these wheels back on and turn this thing back into a bicycle. These old Bontrager skewers have a really good feel to them. There's just some stuff that I wish could translate into these videos, you know, the feel and touch of things. It just doesn't. Ooh, it's a little squeaky. I'm gonna drop couple drops of lube on the cam mechanism of these skewers, or this skewer. I think I already lubed the rear one. Just a little bit of corrosion there, letting itself be known. Hook up this brake. Ooh, feels so good. Everything's cleaned and lubed. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so I wasn't able to get the noodle back in its little home there, and so I had to figure out the noodle wasn't settled into the ferrule. Not a lot of adjusting needed there, but we'll take a closer look at that shine. I'm just gonna pull a little bit of tension off of this side here. Well, that was too much. Shouldn't have touched it. Yeah, I mean, pretty good. I'm feeling underneath for those pads. This pad can come up a smidge. It's just riding a little bit lower than I want. And over here on the front brake, we can see things are pulling a little bit more from the left side there. I'm gonna add a little tension. Doesn't seem to be moving. Add a little bit of lube. I'm gonna release some tension from the left side. That seems to do the trick. And these brakes just feel excellent. I don't need to tighten or loosen them either. Just a little bit, those springs have drifted since they were new. But that's really good, really good. I like it. These levers are very gray, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna take some Tri-Flow and just rub it in. All right, good as new. Long live PFAS. Forever chemicals. I think everything's a forever chemical. That's what I think. And not all chemicals are bad. Little known fact, I sold high purity toxic chemicals for 6 years. I was a road warrior sales guy. That's one hell of a previous life. Very different than my life today. But look at that, cleans it up real good. Wish I could whistle better. You know, my mentor, Bob Ross, I don't know if he's a mentor, but he's a predecessor. No, my main influence for this channel is Bob Ross, and you know, he died of cancer. And they think it was from all of that paint thinner that he was breathing all the time. He used to, every episode, he'd whack his brush and say, beat the devil out of it. And joke about how it would put all the chemicals into the air and cover the room. And, you know, just about every episode joked it. I think it might have given him cancer. And I know a lot of you worry about me. And the aerosols and the gloves. I suppose there's probably something to it. I don't know if we can really avoid everything in life. I don't live with an abundance of caution in general. I'm not reckless per se, but I also I'm not always just like super careful about everything. And it's not because I have like a chip on my shoulder or anything. I just don't really care a whole lot, I guess. You know, and I appreciate your concern, but you know, it's really, you don't have to mention it all the time. It's not helpful. Yeah, I love these grip shifts. I'm gonna tighten the cable just a bit. What a great drivetrain on this bike. I mean, just beautiful. I don't love all grip shifts, but I sure do love these. These are 8-speed, but I mean, just incredible haptics. Just really give, I mean, you just know it's in gear. And that LX rear derailleur works so good. Fantastic. Hey, I mean, this is really a nice bike. I think I want to ride it. You know, I don't always take you on a test ride, but this one kind of fits me and I like it. Yeah, what do you say we go for a little bit of a test ride, huh? Oh! That's very howly. Oh yeah, it's got a great feel. It's got a honker. Sounds like a goose. All right. Let's go take care of that. Love these tires. These tires are great. All right, it was the front one that was howling so much. I have this emery cloth. I cut a fresh piece. And just go through and rough up the rim. A lot of times when you clean the rims like I do, you just make a nice smooth surface and they start howling. It's the price you pay for aesthetics. And I'm kind of roughing up the pads here too. And if this doesn't work, then we'll tow the brake pads, which I just don't like towing brake pads. It ruins the really good feel, and these brakes feel so good. It's also just a trade-off. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna just kind of lightly, and they seem to still want to howl. Okay, let's tow them. It's gonna be hard to show. All right, we're gonna loosen it, and then I just kind of grab the back of the pad and pull out a little bit, and then I'm also angling with my hand when I tighten down. Yep, just a couple degrees. Just a couple degrees. Again, you just kind of get a feel for it. It's a little bit more of a toe than the other side, but it's worse. Add a couple degrees to this side. Yeah, squeaky brakes, howling brakes can be a problem. We could try new pads. It wouldn't be the worst idea. We'll go try to ride it out. Yeah, riding it out worked. So when I ride it out, I just put the bike in a low gear and kind of squeeze the brake lever halfway and ride, and it kind of marries things together. Really works pretty well. So a little bit of a toe, a little rough up the surface, and you know, kind of getting things broken in together. Took care of that howling brake. Otherwise, I absolutely love this bike. I really love this bike. I love how it turned out. It rides so nice. It's so practical. It's fast when you want it to be fast. It's slow when you want it to be slow. It's super green. I love this color. Love everything about it. If I wasn't such a fancy pants cyclist and already had like the greatest bicycles on the planet that were custom built for me and so on and so forth, like my bikes are so much more over the top. But if I was just like let's go back and think about like 22-year-old Andy working at the bike shop, living in Madison, needing a bike to ride around town. This is it. This is like the ultimate commuter bike. It's aluminum, so it doesn't rust. The parts on it are good, not great. and easily replaceable with just anything. It's 8-speed, you know, so like it's any chain off any Huffy anywhere will work on this bike. I like that. These tires really give it a great feel. Not too wide, not too skinny, puncture proof enough. You know, you ride over something sharp enough, you're gonna get a flat anyway. Good hubs, great cranks, everything about it. I mean, I just love it. I love it. I love it. And there we have it. I hope you loved this video. If you've watched this far, I assume you at least liked it somewhat. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't. If you've watched this far, you've already done more than I'd ever ask of anybody in my life. I mean, I can't believe you guys watch this channel. Like, you know, how lucky am I? So thank you so, so much. The algorithm loves it too. I love whatever the algorithm loves. If you want to send me even more love, click the heart with the $sign in the middle of it. That's a super thanks. It's like throwing some cash in the tip jar. It's a little something extra. I usually buy tacos with it, but I love getting super thanks. It feels good. It makes me feel appreciated. Makes me want to make another video. Or consider a monthly sustaining membership. I really do hope someday that this channel is my #1 thing that I'm doing. But until I get to that point where I'm like, everything's online, you know, I just don't know if I can be handling like too much interaction online, just because I really am busy with my other businesses too. That's how I still pay my bills. But the channel's growing, so there's light at the end of the tunnel. I love doing this work, so I really appreciate the fact that you watch. The #1 thing that you can do for yourself though, is click the notification bell so you and your bikes can stay tuned.